Good evening, Kal Kadosh. Parashat Ashavua. Parashat Vayhi. Yeah, it says Vaychi Yaakov. First of all, the introduction is, I don't know if you guys, some people have the minhag that when they open up the Sefer Torah, they start looking for what? For the beginning of the reading. When you're looking, what do you find? Did you find Vaychi? Very difficult. Why is it difficult to find Vaychi? Huh? It's in the middle. Not only is it in the middle, there's hardly any space. You look, it looks like a part of the line. You don't see it. Yeah. What? Very good. So Vaychi Yaakov says Rashi, Lama parasha zu stuma. Yeah. Why is it that these parasha is stuma? Sometimes you have people that are satum, and here's a parasha stuma. There's only one parasha in the entire. Yeah. He says this parasha was stuma from Ezra Sofer. What does that mean? Ezra Sofer, we have all the Sifrei Torah. They come from a Mesoret from him. And Ezra Sofer, when they came, and why did he do it such a way? Why? Because usually it says over here, right? Parashat Vaychi is the beginning of a parasha. V'derech parasha setuma shiura is revach teisha otiyot v'kan kula setuma. The entire thing, even if it was going to be parasha setuma, it would still be here setuma legamre, setum legamre. Usually, a little bit. No. But usually the parashiot are done. It's like parasha petucha. You finish in one line. Wherever it is that you finish, you start the next line. Then there's Parashat Setuma, that we did have that in the past, if you remember. I think it was Vaychi, whichever one it was, that it's finished at the line, but it started at the end of the line. And you just have to leave empty space in between. Here, nothing. Wallow. That's what it's saying here. Usually it's minimum 9 spaces. Nothing. Why? Says 2 different explanations. Explanation number 1, Levi shekevan sheniftar Yaakov Avinu nistemu enehem. Thank you. V'libam shel Yisrael mitzadat. Yeah, he says, Avdu Chamim. He says, when Yaakov Avinu passed away, their eyes were completely blackened. All of a sudden, everything became black. Yeah, why? From all the shibud that started. Now, everyone asks, 1 second, when did the shibud start, really? Subjugation. Yeah, when did they start? Only when? It means that when did they start working hard in Egypt? Only when? Only after all the tribes died. So why is it that when Yaakov died, they already started? So he says, אפשר שכובד השיבוד לא היה להם, אבל שיעבוד מעט התחיל מיד לאחר פטירתו. You're right. The heavy work only started when all the tribes died. Meaning when all the Shvatim died, then it started the heavy duty. Yeah, the heavy duty work. But already from the beginning, the second Yaakov Avinu passed away, it started a little bit. They already felt it a little bit. There was something there. So that's first answer. Yeah, they felt the shi'abud. They felt that the goyim were going to start making them work, and even if it was a little bit, all of a sudden now they have to start doing things, this and that. When Yaakov was alive, they didn't touch them. Yeah, it's all in Egypt. Okay? Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah? Fine. Davar acher. Yeah? Another explanation. Second answer in Rashi. Shebikesh legalot teketz. He wanted to reveal them the end. V'im tomar. Now you're going to ask me, where did Yaakov Avinu know? So says Tosafot, Ima'alot hasulam shechalam ra'a saro shel Esav ole b'ma'alot. He figured it out by the chalom. Meaning when he saw the saro shel Esav go up, he counted and he was able to see the steps. Accordingly, he was able to know how long was going to be each shibud malchiyot, each one of the different, we're going to say subjugations or exiles that we were going to be, and therefore he already knew exactly what was going to happen. Yeah, fine. Now it says Vaychi Yaakov. So another one is, what does it mean Vaychi Yaakov? Yaakov lived. What is the numerical value of Vaychi? No, a little bit more. 34. 34. He lived for 34 years. Why? It says over here, Yaakov Avinu. He truly lived for 34 years. Why did he truly live for 34 years? 17 years of Yosef at the beginning of his life, and then another 17 years when he was by Yosef in Mitzrayim. So that was the 34 years that he lived. What? Only when there was Bet Yosef, he was alive. When he was in the house of Yosef, he was alive. The rest of the time didn't count.
He said the 17 years or his best.
Yeah, for sure. 100%, but that's what it says here. וכל שאר שניו לא היו חיים כי היו בצער ובראה. It was with suffering and with bad things. Which means that even at the beginning of Yaakov Avinu's life, it's mashma that it wasn't a true life. He had sufferings the entire time. Even though the truth is we don't know anything about any of the sufferings. Saying you don't really see anything. I'm saying, until the age of, with the berachot, of the stealing of berachot, that's only the age of 63. Like what happened beforehand. But no, it just says that the life, huh? What do you mean we can know?
Many hints in the first Parashat of this Parashat. For example, in Kota Bechora, why he was in Tsar, that it's not his.
You're saying he was suffering from there, but even there, until then, he was already at the age of, he was already there at the age of 63. You understand? Okay, but very, very little. But I'm saying, but the first 60 years, 40 years, 30 years, you're going to tell me there was nothing. But you're saying no. No, that's what he's saying here. He's saying here that the true life of Yaakov Avinu was 34 years, 17 years with his son at the beginning of his life, at the beginning of Yosef's life, and another 14, so 14, 17 and 17, 34. Huh? Very, very simple. It could be that he understood that his tachlit, his purpose was Yosef. As we brought down in that Haftarah. You remember we said that the second Yosef was born, he now knew he could go against Esav. And he knew that he had the power, he had his firearms. So now that Yosef was born, he was happy. The first 17 years of his life, of Yosef's life, everything was beautiful. There was no problems whatsoever. Yeah? Even though you could say maybe there was Lavan, maybe this, but it sounds from here that no, that it wasn't, even that wasn't called Tzah. What? Dinah was, well, again, one second. What?
During the time that he was with. What is it? Why?
That's why I told you. I think the explanation is that when he was with Yosef, his entire purpose was with Yosef. So the true life that we count was with Yosef. Everything else was not there.
There was another explanation.
The what?
That Yosef was looked like Rachel. Yaakov loved Rachel so much that he reminds her so much.
But we said that he looked
like his face looked like.
You say that's what he only had. Yeah, but according to that, so then when he got married to Rachel, he already had to have that.
No, I'm saying he was.
Again, whichever way you go, you have a question. You understand? You could have a question from me. You could have many different questions along the way. But this is just what it's brought down here. This is actually Tosafot that says this. Okay, this is the Tosafot. Yeah. So it says that Ishonim say that which he lived, this is actually brought down is because he actually, right? We have the explanation, right? Yeah, he comes and he says like this. He says that the explanation that he says everyone knows why did he only live for 133 years, 147 years. Why did he lose 33 years of his life? Because of everything that of Paro's question and everything. Correct? That was just last week's Parashat. Here he comes and he gives another explanation. He says, you know why exactly it happened? 33 years was taken off of his life because it says in the pasuk, "Im asher tinsat Elohecha lo yichyeh," which means he went and he made a curse. That curse, who did it affect? Rachel. Rachel died because of that curse. Meaning when Lavan came and he started saying, why did you steal my gods? What did he say? Whoever stole your gods, you're not going to live. So who died because of that? Rachel. But there was another person that got punished for it. He himself. Why? Because it's a kilat chacham, it's a klala, it's a curse of a chacham that comes even with a condition. And therefore, he lost the amount of years of Yichyeh. How much is Yichyeh? 33. Yod is 20. Chet is 8. He is 5. So 20 and 8 and 5 is 13, 33. So he lost 13 years of his life because he said the words, et asher, right? That means you should never come and put out a curse. Even though it wasn't a curse even on himself. He said, whoever found your God, whoever stole your God, whoever has it with him, they're not going to live. But the fact that he put it out of his mouth, he was punished. 33 years. Exactly. No curse. Yeah? Fine. So it came the years or the days of Israel to pass away. So he comes and he says like this. He says, how did he know? How does he know he's going to die? So the Ramban says that he understood that he was already becoming weak. Yeah, but he wasn't sick, right? Because only afterwards did they say that he was sick. Meaning, it first said, right? And then it says, by the way, they told Yosef, your father's sick. So he wasn't sick right now. You understand?
Sometimes they refer to him as Yaakov and sometimes.
1 minute. 1 minute. Yeah. So he says, so it obviously wasn't because of the sickness right now. So the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh, he already had this question, and he said, right, that he felt it according to the things that happen before a person's death. As it's brought down in the Sefer Zohar HaKadosh, 30 days before a person passes away, he doesn't have a tselem anymore. He loses his tselem. Now, even though this yediyah, that people, the tselem Elokim, this image, they have this image on themselves, they don't have it. What happens is it goes away from them. Huh? 1 second. Yeah, it goes away from themselves. He says that tzaddikim margishin v'yodim kol davar ruchani, which means that the regular person, he doesn't realize. All of a sudden, he lost his tselem. Okay, nothing happens. By a tzaddik, he feels it. So once he went and he felt that he lost his tselem, he already knew he had 30 days to live. He knew that that's it. His end was coming close. Yeah, that's one explanation. Number one. The other, the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh brings down in the name of the Zohar HaKadosh, in the name of the Rizal HaKadosh. The Rizal HaKadosh says that this is a beautiful yesod, by the way. You should look at it inside, something incredible. He comes and he says that this world, every single person gets an amount of nishamot per every day of his life. Which means that every single time, right, a person comes and they have chelkei neshama. Chelkei neshama means portions of their neshama. And what happens is that every single day, that portion of neshama goes upstairs and it doesn't come back. And that's why they do the vidui. I once heard a shiur from a Shiva Rabbi Benaim, and he actually said that's the reason why they do the vidui every single night. The vidui that they do for Kriyat Shema Lamita is on that chelek of the neshama. Not only just in general for ourselves, on that chelek of the neshama has to be fixed. And how do you fix that chelek of the neshama? By doing the vidui, you do it. And that's the explanation of what we say in Mudim. We say, Ve'al nishmotenu apekudot lach. Majority of people, when they learn Ve'al nishmotenu apekudot lach, what do they refer to? They think it's in general. On all our neshamot, which are by you. What does that mean? The neshamot of everybody here. No. Ve'al nishmotenu apekudot lach is on our neshamot. Because we don't have one neshama. On every parts of the neshama, all of them are by you, every single night. And then in the morning, we come and we take them back. But there's one that gets left behind. So therefore, what happens is that the more closer that we get to the end of life, after 120, the less neshamot that we have, the less chelkei neshamot that we have. So he comes and he says, that's why there's a saying, right, that my cousin once told me as part of the Chevra Kadisha. I mentioned this in the Halacha Shiur a few days ago, that it says that an old person sometimes se apagan como una vela. They turn off like a candle. Sometimes they come and they jump, their eyes open up, whether it is because they saw, you remember we mentioned this, I think it was last week, that they see the Shekhinah or they saw the Malach HaMavet, but sometimes they turn off like a candle. What does that mean? They go away peacefully. Like, you ever see a candle? Sometimes a candle at the end, it sparks, it makes a thing, and sometimes, and it just goes like, like nothing. Like very, very tranquil, very like that. Now why? Because since that last chelik of the neshama came out, there was nothing left. So it just goes out like a candle. So when he told me this saying in Spanish, I showed him this Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh. Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh on this week's Parashat, in the name of the Rizal HaKadosh. Okay? It's a beautiful Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh. Look inside, because it's something beautiful. Mamash, word for word. Now the next part is that, very interesting, yeah, Rabbi Ronen, yeah, Bar Shlomo, whichever one it was, yeah, they come and they say, they asked a question. Yeah, they come and they ask the question. What's the question? The question is, it says Vayikrevu Yemei Yisrael Lamut, right? Why does it say now Yisrael? It says pasuk beforehand, it says Vaychi Yaakov, and one pasuk afterwards it says Yisrael. So al derech hapshat, what? It's birthday. So al derech hapshat, it says the me'et shekara Kadosh Baruch Hu b'shem Yisrael. That's a minhag. Sometimes it's Yisrael, sometimes Yaakov, and it changes. It's like ping pong. Yeah, sometimes Yisrael, sometimes Yaakov. However, though, it says here like this: Al derech hasechel. Yeah, this is who says this? Rabbeinu Bachayai. Rabbeinu Bachayai comes and he says, "Amen." He comes and he says like this: Al derech hasechel. Yeah, by the way, you should all know, he looked it up beforehand and he's cheating. And then he's asking the question, Keilu. Keilu. But it's okay, don't worry. We're going to learn it. We're going to pretend that you made up the question. Right? What is derech hasechel? Yeah? Yeah? Kol hakavod? Yeah, at least something. Yeah?
No,
ועל דרך השכל. Yeah, he says, על דרך השכל. He comes and he says, מה שהזכירו הכתובים בפרשה זו, פעם יעקב, פעם ישראל. Why is it that sometimes it mentions Yaakov, sometimes it mentions Israel? הכל בהשכחה ובכוונה ידועה. It's not a ping pong game. It's not any, mini, money, mo. What am I going to call you? You know, sometimes people have two names. So today I'm going to call you, yeah? Who was your two names? No, you're one. Tú tienes dos. ¿Qué es dos? It's a Shimon Mordechai. Okay, Shimon Mordechai, and he's another one. Yeah, Mihai Hananiah. So one day I'm going to call him Hananiah, one day I'm Mihai. And if I'm going to choose the son, I'm going to get it confused, because then it's going to be 3 or 4. Yeah? So what happens? Yeah? 7 names. Yeah? So what happens? Yeah? What happens is that all of a sudden, it's not a meaning anymore. It's not that, today I'm... No. Listen to this. Shem Yaakov ne'emar al midot haguf b'inyanei haguf ba'olam hazeh. The name Yaakov is to do with the body and to do with this world. Ki ma shenikra Yaakov, why was he called Yaakov? Al shem v'yado chezeh ba'kev Esav. He was grabbing onto the ankle of Esav. V'shem Yisrael, the name Yisrael was midot nefesh. It's on the neshama. Why? Because it's written, Ki sarita eloki v'tuchal. You were able to fight with the angels of God, and you won. V'yadua, and it's known. Ki ikar hakavana b'midot nefesh. The ikar is on the nefesh, not on the guf. Mikom makom, nevertheless. What? Every single person, no matter what, he's in this world. So he has to use something in this world. Meaning the person's still alei adamot. He's on the ground. You understand? Meaning no matter how high he wants to fly, he's still down here. So he says, Ki lo yuchal lichyot zulatam. He can't live without it. אבל הכוונה להיות הנפש עיקר ומידות הגוף תפל. But really the עיקר is that the עיקר should be the neshama and the guf should be batel. And that's why he says, לא שיעקר שם יעקב ממקומו. We're not uprooting the name Yaakov from its place, אלא שיהיה ישראל עיקר ויעקב תפל לו. So therefore Israel is עיקר and Yaakov is תפל. וכל מי שעושה מידות הגוף עיקר, as long as you do מידות הגוף the עיקר, מידות הנפש תפל, to עבודת השם יתברך, so then, right, הוא ממית את נפשו, ולכן התחילה הפרשה ויחי יעקב, ויהי ימי יעקב. So now let's start. Why did it start ויחי יעקב, ויהי ימי יעקב? כי אצל חיי הגוף בעולם הזה, הוא צריך שם יעקב. To do with this world, he needed the name יעקב. והזכיר שם ישראל אצל המיטה. But when he was going to die, ויקרבו ימי ישראל למות, by the מיטה, he mentions the שם ישראל. Why? כי מיתת הגוף בעולם הזה, because the death of the guf is only in this world. הוא חיי הנפש לעולם הבא, but that's חיי הנפש in the next world. ויאמר ישראל אל יוסף, הנה אנוכי מת, וכן וישתחו ישראל, ויתחזק ישראל, everything's Israel there. Why? כשיזכיר המיטה שמת בה, whenever he's going to die, it's always ישראל. וכן בסוף הפרשה, התחיל עניין הראשון, והזכיר יעקב. Right? All of a sudden, go towards the end of the parasha, again, it mentions יעקב, ויכל יעקב לצוות בניו. ואחר שהזכיר ויאסוף רגליו את המיטה, then he puts his feet to pass away, כאילו, הזכירו בשם ישראל, ויחנתו רופאים את ישראל. So basically, until here, everything came out actually beautiful. Whenever at the beginning we're talking about the chayei aguf in this world, it's always Vaychi, right? It's what? Yaakov. Everything's Vayhi me Yaakov. Everything's Yaakov. Whenever he's going to Akoko Yaakov, but this is already before he was called Israel. 1 minute, okay? Obviously, there it's going to be Yaakov. But remember, anytime that it was before he was called Israel, there's nothing to talk about. But don't even afterwards. Even afterwards, what the Rabbeinu Bachya is trying, now he's going to ask a question. So 1 minute. But before asking this question, he comes and he says the Yisod. The Yisod has anything to do with this world is Yaakov. Anything to do with that when he's going to die, you only die in this world, but the spirituality continues to the next. So then it's going to be Israel. So he says, 1 second. So he says, why is it written Vayugal Yaakov that here's your son Yosef? Right? Ki tolodat Yaakov Yosef, ushenolad Yosef Yaakov Eshma. So there was referring to when he was born. When Yosef was born, his name was only Yaakov. He only became Israel after Yosef was born. So whenever it's talking about that, it mentions this. V'lo nikra adayin b'shem Yisrael. V'chen vayomer Yaakov el Yosef et shaddai nira elai beluz beretz Canaan. Ki b'tchilat hamareh hazot sheya beluz Yaakov היה שמו. It was only Yaakov. Umisham va'elach. But from then onwards, sometimes it's going to mention Yisrael, and sometimes it's going to mention Yaakov, but everything's according to what we just mentioned. So when it's written, "Umashi iskir vayikra Yaakov el banav velo amar vayikra Yisrael el banav," שנסתלקה ממנו השכינה. כי השררה עצומה, right? כי השררה עצומה במעלת הנפש היא יראת פני השכינה. He says, why does it say though at the end when he's coming, he's calling his children, and now he's going to bless them? There, it should have been written Israel, not Yaakov. What did we just start the parasha? He lost the Shekhinah. Once he lost the Shekhinah, then it's like that.
They called him Israel because when he asked them how they're going to behave, they answered
100%, because that was to do with the Shekhinah. He asked them, maybe you guys have Avodah Zarah, and they answered, Shema Yisrael, that we are Ruchani. So obviously it wasn't because of that.
Is there any relationship between the fact that his name was Yaakov, Israel, and then, Israel, Yaakov and Israel, and in between the Yosef is to add a name? Does it have anything to do with that? Yosef.
I didn't understand what.
Yosef. Does it have anything to do with that?
Yosef was not called because he added a name to him.
But I'm asking because then
Yosef was to add another child. Yosef li ben acher. You should add me another child. Nothing to do with the name.
You say as soon as Yosef came in the picture, that's when he was 17 and 17 years and he was alive.
No, you're talking about there. No.
And with the name.
Not because of that. No, nothing to do with it.
It sounds to me like Israel is the name of his neshama and Yaakov is the name of his body.
That's what it sounds like, 100%. But it's a higher level. Now the question though is that we would. It's interesting if you would. No, it would be interesting to see if he's ever called Israel. So homework for everybody. If he's called Israel from the time of the sale of Yosef until now. Because if you're going to come and you're going to tell me.
Did you check all the cases that you're talking only about this parasha? It cannot be this.
No, he's talking about the entire Torah.
I don't know.
He's talking about the entire Torah.
So I guess he checked.
Yeah, obviously. But that's why I told you I'm giving you guys homework. No, but I want you guys to do it.
By the way, Israel is not only Hashem of Yaakov.
Yes, we mentioned that last time. We mentioned it last time. What did you say?
Did you mention why?
Yes.
Why?
We mentioned it last time. We mentioned it last time. What did you say?
That's why Yaakov called Yaakov. That was in the back behind Esav, and then Israel is like the beginning. Now he's coming to be like the head.
Right, exactly.
So word shliach, it's the same word.
Is the word of Yisrael. No, you know where we saw it. We saw it. Here it is. Here it is. ואלה שמות בני ישראל הבאים מצרים יעקב ובניו, שלושת האבות נקראו ישראל. וכאן קורא יצחק ישראל, שהרי אמר כי יעקב ובניו הם בני ישראל, ואם כן הרי יצחק נקרא בשם ישראל. Abraham also was called Israel, but it says מושב בני ישראל אשר ישוב במצרים, וכבר ידעת כי החשבון הוא משנולד יצחק, וקרא אותם בכלל בני ישראל. אם כן Abraham also was there. So he says, ועל כן קראו התלמוד לעשו ישראל מומר, as the Gemara says. Yeah, because he says because they were the Zera Havot, v'lo alach b'derachem. It's also Rabbeinu Bachai. We brought it down over there. Okay. But there it's Rabbeinu Bachai. But we learned it was last week on, I don't know, it must have been Thursday or Wednesday, I don't know. Vayigash, we did it at the end of the parasha. Yeah? Fine. Now it says here like this. So that was another Rabbeinu Bachai, very, very important to know. Okay? The next, he comes and he's going to pass away, and he tells his son to do with him chesed ve'emet. He tells Yosef to do chesed ve'emet. What is chesed ve'emet? Rashi explains, chesed she'osin im hametim. Chesed that you do with the deceased. Correct? That's chesed shel emet. Why? Emet is a notrikon. This I never heard. This is a Balaturim. Balaturim says, what's the notrikon? What's the acronym? Aron, Mita, V'tachrichim. Right? What does that mean? The coffin, yeah, the Mita, the bed, right? And the tachrichim, the shrouds. You know what the shrouds are? The white clown, what? The white clothing. What? Well, that's what you do for a deceased person. What do you want? Yeah? You okay, very good. Fine. You know what it is? Right, we're talking about the חברה וגמילות חסדים של החברה קדישה של גמילות חסדים. It's ממש, it's a חברה קדישה, it's called. It's a חברה קדושה. You know that the concept, you obviously, you don't have the zechut to be part of the חברה קדושה, right? But mamash, it's a powerful. It's one of the most powerful mitzvot. You know that, of course, mamash. It says here that. Think about it. Out of all the chesed that you could do, the only chesed which is called chesed shel emet is this. Why? He says she'eno mitzapeh letashlum gemul, says Rashi. You'll never get paid back. Do you know that they once did that in Venezuela? By Hashem, but they never get paid back for a human being. The majority of human beings, they do things. What?
No, you're going, but Rabbi, you're going to ceremony.
That's somebody else. That's somebody maybe a worker. That's his job. I'm talking about the people that are doing it. They're doing it for free. Nobody's getting paid there. What? Not the same. Not the same. No. It's not called chesed shel emet. No. It's not. The levaya is not. Levaya is regular chesed. Yeah, it's not. It's No. It's not true though. It's not true. No, not only that, because you could get from the people which are the avelim. That's what it is. It's written. The levaya is regular chesed. The only one is this. Where did this happen? You know where I heard this from? Yeah? Alberto Alfon. You know Alberto Alfon? Yeah? Alberto Alfon told me that he was in charge many years of the Chevra Kadisha in Venezuela. And he told me what happened is that there became a defect. What was the defect? The defect is that everyone used to come and somebody passed away. So he used to call up, they need people to come, rochatzim, to come and to do the rechitza. What happened is that all of a sudden, right, they would come and they would ask, who was it? Why? If the deceased was a person that had a lot of mula, yeah, so then everyone comes. It's only a zechut, you understand? We have to do it. By bar minan, if it was somebody that passed away and he didn't have money, it would be nobody. Nobody would come. No, not the dead. But then they would be able to go to the family members and they would say, by the way, we had the, the keilu, that this is what we did and this and this. So, yeah, this is what this is. So what did they do? What did they do? Okay. Yeah, so what did they do? Very simple. You know what they did? They stopped. They called up, somebody passed away. Who was it? Sholo Bemolo. Yeah, exactly. Maduro. Yeah, he passed away. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody knew who it was anymore. And then everything came back. But that's what the reason. So here it says, Umakshim v'alo shilem Yosef ligmulo, shenatan lo Shechem. He says, 1 second. He did give Yosef. He gave Yosef Shechem. As it's brought down later on, Perek Memchet, Pasuk Kav Bet, Rashi says. Right? So what does that mean? You're going to tell me it's chesed shel emet? He paid Yosef. He tells Yosef, I'm going to pay you. What's your payment? Shechem. So he says, no, look at Rashi there. Rashi, he got Shechem. Memchet, Kav Bet. Rashi says, ואני נתתי לך שכם אחד על אחיך, לפי שאתה טורח להתעסק בקבורתי, וגם אני נתתי לך נחלה שתיקבר בה. ואיזו זו? שכם. רש"י. No, but at the beginning, שאתה טורח להתעסק בקבורתי. Answer, what does that mean? So that's the question. He gets Shechem. The whole city of Shechem. Of course. Yeah. Yaakov conquered it. And he gave it to now Yosef. So now the question though is that he gets a reward. So if he's getting the reward, what does that mean? So he says, no. Metarsim ve'asita imadi davar shu chesed ve'emet lishar metim, to other people. Right? That's what some people answer. Say, no, you should do chesed shel emet for other people, but by the way, you should know, I'm going to pay you back. Don't worry about it. Yeah, for other people, it's chesed shel emet. For me, though, you're already going to get your reward in lifetime. However, though, they come and they say it's not a question at all. Because the Torah says Yosef was not waiting for any compensation. But Yaakov gave it on his own. Meaning like this, if somebody's going to come, what? In Shechem. Of course, even until today. Yosef today. That's where all the balagan is. Marat HaMachpelah. He doesn't. You have to remember, he's a Kohen. The guy can't even go into any of the Kivrei Avot. What do you want from him? Yeah, he's a Kohen. What do you want from him? Yeah. I don't remember how they do it. The Kohanim, I think there's a certain place until it says that you could go until here, and then you can't pass this. That's what it's written, if I remember. But you would have to look. Fine. No, you were probably Rachel. You were probably Rachel. No, Rachel? Okay, but
outside there was.
yeah, okay. Fine. Let's just finish. Yeah, we're gonna finish last one. So basically, one more time. So basically, I'll just explain it to you, then we finish here. The Yesod was very, very simple. Yeah, I'm gonna put it here. Just
He didn't really give him a.
so really, Be'emet, Yosef HaTzadik was not looking for a reward. Since he wasn't looking for a reward, it's Chesed Shel Afterwards, he went and he got a reward. So then, okay, so he got the reward. But that was Chesed Shel because when you were doing it, you weren't looking for it. Which means like this: sometimes I'm going to come and I'm going to do Chesed. Now you're going to tell me, yeah, Rabbi, but it wasn't Chesed because you were waiting for something in return. You're right. That could be something, but it's something different. If you're doing a mitzvah and you're not waiting for anything in return, even afterwards you do get something in return, it was still Chesed. Because at the time you weren't doing it, it's your intention. In your intention. What? No, he did get the heritage. The heritage, yeah. Fine, very good. So, Blina, then we're going to speak about tomorrow. Remember, we're going to speak about. It's going to be very, very important. We're going to speak about the other concepts, but this is what it is.